What's up, guys? We're about to go to the studio and talk about how I made my awesome track, Clout God. But first, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like, a comment, and maybe a subscription, that'd be awesome. Let's head to the studio and talk some shop. What's up, everybody? Welcome. First off, let me say there's nothing wrong with using samples, okay? If you like using samples and that's your thing, you do that. I just don't use them very often, so I'm going to talk about what I do instead and how I create the melodic content that I do create without using samples. Some of my tips and tricks, if you will. So let's get right into it. Alright, let's talk about how I made this track here. I think it's pretty dope. Alright, so first off, intro. It's a waveform. I recorded it in Edison. I just went to my hook. It was like the last thing I did, basically. I went to my hook and selected some melodic elements out of there, which we'll talk about how I made these in a minute. But I just selected these. I drew up Edison on my master track, and I recorded basically like this. Edison, boom. You select that, you hit record on Edison on your master, and it records the elements you want. Then I send it to track 16 here, the recording from Edison. I sent it to track 16, and I threw on some distortion. I threw on a phaser, and most importantly, I threw on this EQ. This EQ is high passed to get out a lot of the low end, so that when the actual hook comes in, it's like banging, right? And then I low passed it, and I automated that, right? So ends up looking like this. If everything's turned on, it looks like this. Sorry.
This is paradise.
Sweet, right? Okay. Here is the wave or the automation clip. So it comes in kind of loud, it drops down, it swells here in the middle, and then comes back up. That's about it. Okay, hook. What I do on the hook. So the first thing I did was just throw in these chords. We're real simple here. It's a 1 through 5 chord, like as simple as you can possibly get. We're in B flat minor. Sounds like this. Like seriously simple. And then we're using gross beat a little bit to switch it up a little bit. Gross beat, we're just using this one. It's basic 8. Like it's simple here. Okay, cool. Excuse me. Next thing we did is I added this little melody. Super simple, easy stuff. We're just going 1 5 3 2 1, then 6 3 2 1. Okay, sounds like this. And that's pretty low. You can see we're on like C4 here. It's pretty low. Then we added in this. This is a little higher, and it's in octaves. Okay, so instead of starting on the 1 here, we're starting on the 5, and then going. What is this? 5 2 3 1. Come in. There we go. I've got too much stuff on the screen. I usually operate on 2 monitors, but I'm only doing it on 1 so I can record it, so forgive me if I'm kind of clumsy here. And then this second part is just an ascending scale, also in octaves. Variation is key. You want subtle variation all the time in your beats, preferably. All right, lastly, let's talk about the 808. We're coming in first. We're just doing a simple chord progression for the first half of the hook. We're just kind of droning, following the kick here on the B flat, and then we're going down to the G flat, or A sharp, F sharp, whatever you want to call it. FL Studio doesn't like flats for some reason. get the idea. But then the second part of the hook, we're changing it up again. We're throwing in some slide notes. So first slide notes going up to this fourth here. These are long slides, creating like tension. So the second one here is going to go just to a half step to a B, which technically isn't in the key of B flat minor, but it's creating tension. Okay, that's about all of that. Let's talk about the verse. Oh, and we've got these like atmospherics going on too. They're very subtle, but they're changing in the background all the time a little bit to like add and subtract energy as the beat's going along. Cool. All right, let's talk about the verse. So first thing I did was drop out the main melodic elements. So we're dropping out the melody here and the counter melody, and we're going to something much simpler. Just these like hints of melody basically in there. So it's not like this. Also notice when I'm putting these in, most of the time I'm like this is functioning as one note. Like you're only hearing dun dun, but it's actually two notes. That's like how a pianist would play it. It's very important to kind of mimic the way an instrumentalist would play it. If you don't play an instrument, we'll get live videos and watch how these instruments are played, whether it's guitar, whatever, drums. Sometimes it's okay to like quantize the F out of something and get them perfectly on the lines. But a lot of times it creates a nice feel when it's kind of a little off here or there. So that's what I do. Also, I did that on these original chords. They're very repetitive. So I didn't want them to be perfect because that's boring. Okay. What was I talking about? I don't even remember. All right. So we're doing the dun dun, and then we add in a little call and response here when we're getting into the verse a little bit. So here we're doing call and response in separate. They're in octaves, but I'm also jumping from like lower to higher call and response. Okay. This is just like a throwback. This bottom one here, it's a throwback to the hook, obviously. And then to keep it fresh, I reverse the order. Instead of the low part coming first, the high part comes first in the second section. Okay. Let's talk about the 808 line. Here I did something kind of clever, a little trick at least. So basically the way I did this, I just copied the second half of the bass part from the hook and I pasted it into the verse, but I moved it over half a beat. Okay. So it sounds totally different. So instead of sounding like this, it sounds like this. That little gap gives you kind of like a driving feel in your low end. The kick follows it. Moving on to the verse, we'll repeat that twice with things coming in and out. And then we change up the 808 line again to something just really simple. We're just doing, you might need headphones for this low end part. Without the mix, it's might not be too loud in your like computer speakers. So here we're following the same chords. We're just creating some gaps for the artist to fill in. We're also doing a tape stop. The tape stop is only in the chords up here, okay? So those boring chords, we're creating more variation, more interesting things happening by putting a tape stop only in those, but it's at the higher part of the mix, so it's very noticeable. What else? We do more call and response. As far as percussion, our hi-hats are coming in and out, just creating motion, okay? Also, same thing with our snare rolls here. We're creating, they fall out, they come back in for a little bit, fall out again. We're creating motion for the artist to kind of flow over, right? I know I'm missing a bunch of stuff, but that really gets us back to. Oh, I just put in a little extra harmony here to get us back into the hook, or the intro and then the hook, basically. This is just like some 6th grade, like basic harmony. We're just going up the scale as another part kind of descends the scale. I think that's about it. Hey, really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. Please give me a subscription. I'm going to be making more videos like this. They're going to keep getting better as I get better at explaining what I'm doing. Thanks a lot. Drop a comment. Please drop a like and subscribe so you can see my new videos. Appreciate you. Take care.
This is Paradise.